Economy is the backbone of the prosperity of any society.
Country is facing the debt crisis, political uncertainty, increasing day by day inflation.
We economists do not have any say in Pakistan's policy. Our long-run growth is declining. Our productivity is declining. You students have no future. 51% of PhDs have no jobs. Are we concerned? We are in the aid debt trap. Nobody is investing. We in Pakistan have never been out of the IMF emergency ward. PST should be a reform-making organization. The footprint of the government is over 80%.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Honorable guests, on behalf of Bahauddin Zakariya University, Multan, I welcome you all in the city of the Saint. I am very thankful to the participants of the meeting and conference of the Pakistan Society of Development Economics, which is a joint, it is also extended warm welcome to the colleagues from the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, the World Bank delegation, and all the partners whose presence has made this conference successful. Bahauddin Zakariya University has been established in 1975 in the city of the Saints, Multan, with the name of University of Multan. Later on, the name was changed to the Bahauddin Zakariya University. The university has 10 faculties and 73 departments holding BS programs, MPhil, and PhD programs. Department of Economics was established in 1978, and Dr. Miraj was the pioneer chairman of the department. Later on, in 2016, it was upgraded and developed into the School of Economics. And at this moment, we can't forget the struggle of Professor Dr. Imran Sharif Chaudhry. He is no more among us. May Allah give him the highest rank in the Jannatul Firdaus. His efforts can't be denied for the development of department to the School of Economics. All the faculty of the School of Economics is holding PhD from the different renowned universities of the world, and they are playing an important role. The alumni of the department are playing key role in the various economic sector of the country and adding the growth of this land. The theme of the conference, Breaking the Aid Debit Chain, is really, I'm not an economist. My background is the pharmacy education, and I'm playing role in different organizations that are included for the healthcare system, quality control board, drug development, and other. Economy is the backbone of the prosperity of any society. Viral and the cancer, that are the major threat to the society. We are unable to treat the patient due to the lack of our economic conditions. We need much more in that sector. And I hope that the two-day conference, the galaxies from the different parts of the world, the holding and the pillars of this field will give us some important key points that can help us to improve the economic condition of the country. Education, health, all the fields that we need to development, they all are related with the economy of the country. Pakistan, as you know, I don't know much more about that. You people know that we are unable to sustain our ideas or to develop our different objectives that we want to launch our ideas in Pakistan due to the economic conditions of how we can improve the quality of life of our ordinary people. You people have to give the ideas to the stakeholders and the policy makers of the country. With these words, I am again thankful to the organizer, Professor Dr. Zahir Faridi, and all the organizing partners. And I welcome you all, and on the behalf of Bahauddin Zakariya University, Multan, and inshallah, that would be a platform for our students, for our teachers and researchers to learn much more about the field. Thank you very much with these words.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad wa sallallahu alayhi. Respected Vice Chancellor, Bahauddin Zakariya University, Multan, Dr. Uzair, Vice Chancellor, PIDE, Dr. Nadeem ul Haq, Secretary, PIDE, Dr. Iftikhar, and all the respected guests, deans, chairmen, and dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I welcome warmly you at SOE, Bahauddin Zakariya University, Multan. We are delighted to host you, Multan, on this very important events of 37th Annual Conference of the Pakistan Society of Development Economics. This year's conference is critically important since the country is facing the debt crisis, coupled with political uncertainty and increasing day-by-day inflation, and that is creating a problem for our poor class of the society. So we also hopeful that the conference will come up with the useful policy recommendation enabling the country to break aid and debt crisis. We also welcome to our colleagues from Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, the World Bank delegation, and all the partners whose participation will be this conference a great success. So again, we are also grateful to President PSDE selecting BZU as a venue for the conference for this year. We are pleased to have with prominent scholars like Dr. Ishwaq Hassan Khan, Dr. Ishrat Hussain, Dr. Nadeem ul Haq, and distinguished lecturer, and they deliver the distinguished lectures. Besides the scholars from the different institutions and think tanks have also joined us and will participate in panel discussion and provide a broad perspective. And definitely, this platform is a best informations for our students. And it is also only for our students of economics, particularly in this South Punjab. Basically, such type of organization, if first time gave us opportunity in this area, in the last years, in the previous years, we totally from this university go to the Islamabad and also present the papers, and that was very difficult for our students to go in the toto form. But now we have seen that all the students are here, and this opportunity is good for our students, and they can also get information, also exchange their ideas, and definite in this South Punjab, which is also, we have mostly seen, it is a neglected area regarding the education, particularly in health. Basically, we have a lack of resources. Our people cannot go for the Islamabad for presenting their paper research, but now they have a chance and they can present and exchange their ideas here. So again, I am very thankful the PSD to provide this opportunity to us. In the last, so I am very thankful to the team of SOE for also arranging this beautiful events. And here I will also take the name of those my colleagues, the Professor Dr. Talat, Chairman at the State Bank of Pakistan, Professor Dr. Azra Batul, Professor Dr. Umar Chaudhry, Professor Dr. Fatima Farooq, Professor Dr. Rashid. He is a great person who has taken all the pains of arranging this event. And again, I also thankful to all my other doctors, Farah Bashir, Dr. Ayub, Dr. Sidra, Dr. Imdadullah, and I am very thankful to all my colleagues who have participated and also make this event more beautiful. Thank you very much.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मुल्तान, बड़ी खुशी है आप बच्चों को देख के। ज़्यादातर तो मैंने अंग्रेज़ी बोलनी है। आप हमारे चीफ गेस्ट हैं। हम बुलाते थे मिनिस्टरों को, प्राइम मिनिस्टरों को, सेक्रेटरीज को वगैरह, वो हमने ख़त्म कर दिया। क्योंकि वो प्रोटोकॉल के साथ आते हैं, अपनी बात सुना के भाग जाते हैं, सुनते नहीं हैं। आपको पता है कुरान में भी लिखा है सुमन बुकमन के खिलाफ, तो हम सुमन बुकमन को नहीं बुलाते। आप हमारे चीफ गेस्ट हैं, पर आपसे दावत है कि आप चीफ गेस्ट की तरह बिहेव करें। आप ये नहीं कि आप बातें करनी शुरू कर दें। माना आपकी जो फीस है आपके माँ बाप दे रहे हैं, पर तालीम आपकी है। मुझे रात को एक वेटर मिला होटल में जो आपकी तरह खुशकिस्मत नहीं है, उसके माँ बाप के पास पैसे देने को नहीं है, वो पढ़ना चाहता है। मैंने उसके साथ आधा घंटा लगा के उसको समझाया यूट्यूब पे कैसे पढ़ सकता है, कोर्सेरा पे कैसे पढ़ सकता है। अब खुशकिस्मत है, और इस खुशकिस्मती को ज़ाया मत करें। सुने, सीखें, आगे बढ़ें। कल को इंशाल्लाह आप भी इस पोडियम पे खड़े होंगे और कुछ कर रहे होंगे। इसके साथ आई विल मूव ऑन। Welcome to the 37th Conference of the Pakistan Society for Development Economists. But I begin by saying that this society has failed. The Royal Society was formed in 1660 by a bunch of people who had a lunch club or a beer drinking club, and they got the king to give them a charter. Thereafter, they planned the development of London as it got fire. They planned the Renaissance, they planned everything. I mean, they were a big contributor. I don't say they planned everything. They were a big contributor to debate in the West. How have we failed? We economists do not have any say in Pakistan's policy. So those of you who are studying economics should stop right now. Bankers rule this country. Why? Because they have the money. Bankers are prime ministers, bankers are bank president, bankers are everything. Economists are nothing. Why? Because economists have no ideas. And so with that thought, I will tell you why we've come to Multan. We've come to Multan to tell you how economics is failing. PIDE is the oldest think tank in Pakistan, which was set up in 1957, which has huge contributions. Mahbubullah gave us 22 families from here. PIDE set up Bangladesh. I can go on and on, but I won't. But PIDE today is nowhere. The bureaucracy is dying to kill it. They just don't have the guts to kill it. I keep telling them to kill it, they can't kill it. That's a tragedy. A university, they've set up 300 universities with many economics departments. They're contributing nothing to the debate in Pakistan. They don't contribute anything to the development of this country. What is happening? So what do we do? We've tried to set up a professional association, the PST. As I said, we can't make it work. We take it to different countries, different cities of Pakistan. This is the fourth city we're bringing it to, or fifth, I think, sixth. We are trying to reach you students and you faculty members. Do we have your attention? Are you going to change the way you think? Are you going to ask questions? Are you going to debate? Do you have the capacity to debate? That's what we're going to ask you today. Why is the economics profession struggling? You're on the verge of a default. In fact, quite frankly, we have defaulted. Let's not mince words. We are on a life support system. Glucose लगी हुई है. World Bank, IMF वगैरह ने हमें glucose लगा के पिंजरे में बांधा हुआ है. All our normal flows have stopped. You can't open an LC. When I grew up, there are a few people here like Ashfaq and Nishrat who will tell you, when I grew up, I couldn't subscribe to The Economist because there were exchange controls. When I went abroad to study, I had to spend 6 months going to the central bank, including Safarish, to get what was known as a P form, which allowed me to travel. We're going back to that state. Our exchange activity is being bolstered right now by means that are not market operating. Well, PID does a lot of work. PST tries to raise a lot of subjects. These are all the subjects. No, much more, many more. Economics is wide-ranging. We've got to discuss all these subjects. How many people write about that? That's the key issue that I want to come to. This is our GDP growth rate. I think this chart must be memorized by everybody. It's a seesaw. I should also put in India and others. They're all climbing. Ishrat is going to talk about it. Our long-run growth is declining. Our productivity is declining. You students have no future. 51% of PhDs have no jobs. Large number of graduates have no jobs. Are we concerned? Are the ministers concerned? Suman Bookman, are they concerned? No, they're not concerned. They're quite happy. They're running around getting debt. Is debt good for you? This is what we want to discuss. We are in an aid debt trap. We get aid from the World Bank, DFID, this, that, etc. More debt goes up, we get more aid, debt goes up. Now IMF has got us into the last stage. I used to work for the IMF, as many of you know. I know IMF very well. IMF is in the last stage. They tell you we are 25 billion short, 28 billion short, 29, I don't know how many billion. I don't even care. We are short. How are we going to fill up the gap? We'll ask the World Bank to give some money, ADB to give some money, so-and-so to give some money. We'll fill up the gap. What happens? Our debt goes up again. Fair enough. So we are in the aid debt trap. What about our investment? Jeffrey Sachs yesterday told you. He's right. Our biggest problem is investment. It's not poverty, as people will tell you. It's not getting more debt. It's because you kids are not investing. Because nobody is investing. Yet that subject does not make it into our research agenda. How many papers on investment? I was just searching for it yesterday. We have very few papers on investment. And the papers on investment that we have are not of good quality. But this chart you must memorize again. We in Pakistan have never been out of the IMF emergency ward. IMF is an emergency ward. Those of you who don't know that, IMF is an emergency ward. जो बंदा बार-बार emergency ward में जाता है, उसको आप क्या कहते हैं? क्या कहते हैं जी? Patient कहते हैं या पागल कहते हैं? या addict कहते हैं? Only addicts go to the emergency ward again and again. Oh, of course. If you have a genetic defect, you go into the emergency ward. Or if you're mad, you go into the emergency ward. What do they do in the emergency ward? They give you a malam patti. And they say, now go. Please don't eat ghee wala khana. Please exercise. Please do this. Please do that. What do our Suman Bookman say? They say, I've got my trip to Washington. Now I'm happy. I don't want to make any changes at home. I can go to China, get some model, and I can go there. Is that how you're going to function? Sorry, we will leave you with a lot of debt. You will pay it. But this is the chart. We have been in the IMF throughout our history. I won't go deeper into it, but we have been in IMF throughout our history. There's never been a moment we've not been in the IMF. Maybe 5 months, 6 months, half a year here, there, nothing much. And all our policy is made by foreign consultants. Anybody who tells you we make our own policy is lying. All our policy is made by foreign consultants because we can't make policy. Our economists don't exist, and the few economists that exist are not in the Ministry of Finance or the Planning Commission. Hardly anybody is there. Somebody like Ashfaq or Ishrat can once in a while get in there. But then we are all forced to behave ourselves because the secretary runs everything. So that's the case that we have right now, and those who deny. But our ancestors knew it. This is from 1950, before I was born. They knew it. They said this is how we'll behave. This cartoon is from Pakistan Times then. That we will be on these dollar crutches and the aid people will be sitting there and saying, hey, keep them like that. That's who we are. Now, how many of you economists have learned this? Where have you learned it? Why have your teachers not taught you this? This is what we do. Plan after plan after plan, stupid. And many donor documents that come in, we sign without thinking. We've signed the, what is that called? PRGF. What the hell was the PRGF? I don't know. I was in the fund. It was a Poverty Reduction Growth Facility. Well, it was a program. Look, let's tell you for a start, very simple fact. All fund documents are written by the team. The minister and the governor just sign, period. They don't do anything. Anybody who tells you otherwise is just simply lying to you. We write the hotel room at night, we write the document. Even the training documents we write. Minister, you need this training, they sign it. That's the truth. But we don't intend to follow them. So what do? We've made so many documents that don't mean anything. Okay. So what PIDE has started now is, we are trying to get all the universities together for reform. This is our slogan, Islah. Rethink, reform, revive. We're doing Twitter spaces on this, we are doing webinars on this, we are writing documents on this, but it's up to you universities to join us, to argue with us, to give us ideas on what to do. PST should be a reform-making organization. If you look at the history of the American Economics Association, it actually contributed a lot to the reform movement. If you look at the Royal Society, Economic Society, it contributed a lot to the reform movement. Question is, why are you not contributing to the reform movement? That's the important thing that we have to think about. Now, PIDE has done a lot of work. I'll just briefly show you a few of these things. If you have a chance, please look at them. They're lying outside. I hope they're lying outside. And you can buy some, you can get some free, no problem. We even have a magazine, we have YouTube channels. If you want a good education in economics, go to our YouTube channel. Listen to what we've got. We've got about 600 hours of videos there. Nobel Prize winners, with all kinds of people, with art documentaries, arcades. I mean, a vast plethora of stuff there. If your blood pressure doesn't rise, we have failed. Our job is to make your blood pressure rise. Our job is to make your brain cells work. So we got lots of stuff lying there. But the question is, this stuff is useless unless you engage with it. I'm surprised when I ask kids, okay, let me ask you guys. How many of you are reading a book? Raise your hands. Okay, what book are you reading? Please tell me. Back there. What book are you reading? Quickly. बोले जी बताएं. हाँ बताएं. कौन सी? Think and Rich, Grow Rich. Not bad. The guy is thinking well. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Okay. Anybody else? हाँ जी. कौन सी? Alchemist. यार एक बात मैं बताऊं. हर पाकिस्तानी मुझे यही कहता है. मुझे थोड़ी सस्पेशन होती है. हर बंदा एल्केमिस्ट पढ़ रहा है. कोई और किताब नहीं पढ़ने के लिए है. और सारी पुरानी किताबें. कौन सी नई किताब पढ़ रहे हो आजकल? कोई नई किताब पढ़ रहा है? बताइए. हाँ जी बताइए. Why nations fail? चलो अच्छी बात है, शुक्र है वो पढ़ ली है. वही पुरानी हो गई by the way. Second thing, podcasts. What I find in most audiences that I speak to, people are not reading. And I keep telling them, it's your professor's fault if you're not reading. We have a list of 26 books in PID that I have given to kids, but they don't read them. So I think it's our fault our kids don't read them. Podcasts. Are you listening to any podcasts? Who? Where? What podcast are you listening to? Acha. Or? Anybody else? Anybody else? बस एक ही है. और वो भी पाकिस्तानी. So look, for God's sake, there's a whole world out there. There are tons of, for example, Econ Talk. For example, कौन सा है? There are too many things, podcasts. Why aren't you listening to them? Why aren't you thinking about it? PID videos, I think they're much better than Muzammil. So you should look at them, even if I say so myself, okay? Okay, we got a magazine, Discourse. I don't know how many of you have seen that. If you haven't, please get it. It's very important. We have tons of these knowledge viewpoints, etc. that we do. Webinars, seminars, PST, we talk of many different things. But as I said, PST has a very limited reach. We failed. I won't advertise PST as a big success. PST will become a success when all of you want to participate in it. When the American Economic Association meetings takes place, some of you have gone there, I'm sure. A whole city is full of economists. But 20 hotels are full. There are thousands of sessions taking place. But most important of all, which really, really blows my mind, all the VIPs are there. They're not Suman Bookman. Stan Fisher used to tell the fund, I'm away for 2 days because I have to go to the AEA meeting. Larry Summers used to tell the Treasury, I'm away, I have to go to the meetings. And the Nobel Prize winners were all there listening, talking. Our VIPs don't do that. That's a tragedy. That's why we can't make it happen, unfortunately. Okay, ji, we did this, we changed the topics. We have usual donor-driven topics like, for example, food security. I don't know what food security is. Are you food secure? No? क्या खाया था सुबह? अब मैं पूछ रहा हूँ क्या खाया था सुबह, कहेंगे पराठे और साग, और ये तो फूड सिक्योर नहीं है ये। यार क्या कौम है यार? मैं भाई बिल्कुल आई एम परफेक्टली फूड सिक्योर। व्हाई? दिस इज व्हाट मेक्स मी फूड सिक्योर। क्रेडिट कार्ड सिंपल, अगर मिल सकता है यू आर फूड सिक्योर। इफ यू डोंट हैव दैट, फिनिश्ड। व्हाट इज योर क्रेडिट कार्ड? इज योर रिजर्व्स, दैट्स इंपॉर्टेंट। सो हियर वी आर. So then we did productivity, etc. last year. Now we are doing the 8 debt chains. Okay, let me come to the core. I remind you, we are in an IMF emergency ward. We are going to remain in the IMF emergency ward till 2030, easily. Easily, maybe more. Are we ever going to break out of the emergency ward? I don't think so. Related to this is our debt. Look at the way our debt is going up. Why does the debt go up? Because we want to make they keep telling us we should make infrastructure. Well, what kind of infrastructure are we making? I saw the infrastructure in Multan. Roads, bypasses, flyovers, underpasses. How many people own cars in Pakistan? Apparently, I read somewhere there are 1.7 million driving licenses in Pakistan. And we are building all these things for 1.7 million people. Yet we made 300 universities for you with these halls. But unfortunately, the degrees you're getting are not worth much. We can go into that too. We've written about that too. This is our reserves. Our reserves are always declining. So our credit card, which I showed you, worthless. So what can you do? Go out and borrow. So we can't invest. We have reserves declining. So what do? The tragedy is we have no domestic research conversation. We have what the donors tell us, which is fine. We have in Islamabad tons of these consultants roaming around. Recently, PIA went on sale and they appointed an advisor, Ernst & Young, EY. Ernst & Young is a consulting firm that has been at the heart of many consulting contracts in Pakistan as well as the world. And there's a wonderful book written by Mazakuta, Big Con, that says these consulting firms, how they have, kind of ruined the capacity in the world, but yet we give them that. We have no public intellectuals. We have no theses in this country. We have no ideas floating around. Jeffrey Sachs says taxes are high. I'll come to that. He didn't have a chance to discuss that yesterday. That we should raise our taxes. I was just arguing with the World Bank team too. Why should we raise our taxes? I say we should lower our taxes. Why should we raise our taxes? Anybody wants to debate with me on that? Let's talk about it. What is this nonsense about always, for 75 years, we've chased high taxes. Broaden the tax base, high tax. What have we got for it? Do we ever change the way we think? Einstein said, people who do the same thing over and over again and expect different results are bloody fools, are idiots. And that's who we are. We just can't change our thought. We have no reform agenda of our own. PIDE has developed that. Please debate it, talk to us about it. Let's see what you think of it. Okay. Now, Sachs said we should get more loans. Why? Why should we get more loans? Why can't we think for ourselves? Can we even absorb more loans? Every time we get more loans, we can't repay them. So should we get more loans? Or should we tighten our belts and say, okay, we're going to stay within this amount of money? Can we make do? No. Where is the capacity to spend debt? All we do is get more loans, build more highways, build more highways, build more highways. So what? What's happening? Where are we jetting around to? Sartaj Sahab once told me a very interesting thing, that he saw a car came, honk, 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 went forward, great speed. 2 miles forward, he was standing there eating dahi bhalle. This is our rush. So what are we doing? But the main thing is what we failed is around local thought. You don't challenge the wisdom that's coming, right? We've got a consultant-led development. None of you challenge the consultant. The whole profession is silent on the consultant. And we don't even know who the consultants are. The donors don't even tell us the consultants. We approached the donors and said, guys, tell us who the consultants are. They said, no, we can't tell you the consultant's name. Consultant's name is a state secret. It's amazing. Oxford Policy Management, ASI, God knows how many of these guys are sitting there. Some of these consultants have $200, $300 million. That's more money than the Pakistan government has. How the hell do we function like that? But we do. Okay, now, let's look at it. For example, I don't know what happened. Somebody's killed my presentation. Doesn't matter. What do we have here? Jeffrey Sachs says, tax more, and so does the World Bank. Let's tax ourselves more. Let's keep taxing, keep taxing. IMF managing director also says, please collect your taxes. Great when you have a tax-free salary. For God's sakes, please tell me, we've calculated in PIDE what the footprint of the government is. Why can't we go get a consensus on this? The footprint of the government is over 80%. The government controls 80% of everything. Footprint of the government also has what PIDE has researched is the story of government captured, state captured land for housing of VIPs. That also includes that. We've also done sludge. Sludge is the regulatory cost. The regulatory cost of the government, the permission getting, NOC, NOC, NOC. You know, I am involved personally. I have no investment, nothing. I'm involved in getting 20 NOCs. To sell my house that my father left me, I have to get 20 NOCs, which I've spent last 5 years trying to get. This is the NOC culture, for God's sakes. How can you function in this environment? And then they want us to live in a two-story landscape. Everybody must have a single family home. Just like here in university, I saw your professors' houses, two-story ranch houses, beautiful, lovely places with lawns, etc., etc. I went to China, I went to Turkey. Now every city I go to for the last 20, 30 years, I've been asking, where are your two-story houses? And they say, go 20 miles out of the city. So, but I need to see them in the middle of the city. The minister lives in the middle of the city. The secretary lives, DC lives in the middle. Then, no, he doesn't. I went to DC, I lived 30 years in DC, and I said, where are your VIP houses? They say, only the White House. I said, but for God's sakes, where is the GOR? Where are the professors' houses? Where are the so-and-so houses? Mayo Gardens, they don't have them. When I went to Turkey or China, they have flats only. They didn't have anything else. But our VIP. So nobody looks at that. So we did something on perk, rich, cash, poor. Only yesterday, I read, our FBR people have got another 150% wage increase. What kind of a payment structure is this? Every year you give them 150% wage increase, 30% here, 25% here. That's what we've got, despite the fact that we have pay commissions. Nobody wants to fix the salary of the public sector. Civil service reform we talk about, but who cares? So the question is, with this footprint, with this sludge, with this occupation of state-captured land, where do you invest? How do you grow? How do you grow? That's the problem. We have to talk about it. And so then, what does it mean? Where do these kids have their growth opportunity? We tried to get street vending done in Islamabad. The bureaucrats cut it out. Cars are more important than street vending. Hey, how can you have cars stop when there are street vendors? So these kids can't even set up a bloody street vending operation. So guys, look for a job overseas. We did this thing called Naukri or Visa. And every kid said, I want a Naukri. 8 dead trap. Okay, we got the IMF, we got the consultants, we got this. Are we going to default? Argentina, something radical happened just now. Argentina is a country that's very similar to us. Now they've got a radical change coming. And this is a discussion I was having with the World Bank earlier. Everybody says, go gradually, please, slowly, don't change, we can't change. For 75 years, we've maintained the British colonial system. Do you think it's time to change it or should we keep it? Kids, are you ready to change the British colonial system? Yes. Do you want these VIPs to run around with their protocol? This is the tamasha that we've got. Okay, now the problem is, what is academia doing? Academia is doing useless studies, papers that nobody reads, full of cliches. I was looking at them a few yesterday. One says, women need mobility to go look for work. You know what I call this in PIDE? We have a test in PIDE called the Nani test. If my Nani knows something, it's not research. Must at least surprise my Nani. Most of the papers that I read, Nani is grandmother for the World Bank people. My grandmother wasn't that educated. So most of our research that comes out doesn't surprise my grandmother. Whenever I say, my grandmother says, I knew that, doesn't matter, right? It's cliches, right? And it's totally superficial. Why? Why are we not looking at those things? Why are we not researching the footprint of the government? This is what I created Rasta for. Rasta is giving you the opportunity to do your own research, not what the donor told you. Do your own research. Show us what the footprint of the government is here, right? We want to know what the footprint of the government is. We want to know where the markets are. Do you know Pakistan has no markets? Everything is controlled by the bureaucrat. Agriculture is controlled by the bureaucrat. Industry is controlled by the bureaucrat. Everything is controlled by the bureaucrat. Pakistan, as Hafiz Sheikh, when he's the Minister of Finance and as the Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission, he used to yell at me after every ECC meeting, Al-Haq, this is a socialist society. Communism is alive here. Yes, communism is alive here. And yet, Jeffrey Sachs and the donors say we need to increase the size of the government. Hell, we want to kill the government, decrease the size of the government. Get them down to size before we give them more money. We give them more money, what did they do? They get bigger BIP protocol. Used to be a time, Isha Saab is sitting here, I'm sure Isha Saab will tell you, when he was a DC, I'm sure you didn't have 3 Land Cruisers. Did you have 3 Land Cruisers, sir? Did you have what? Okay. Now every DC has 3 Land Cruisers. Commissioners have 5 Land Cruisers. I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? What does the DC need a Land Cruiser for? But yes, they have 5 or 6 Land Cruisers, and then, oh, they have a camp office. We are fighting a war, so they have to have camp offices. And we want more taxes for these guys? To do what? Their houses have become palaces, for God's sakes. I've lived in those houses because I was a bureaucrat's son. We had nothing. We couldn't even change a bloody tap, but now this is crazy. So, for God's sakes, what do we want to give them more taxes for? Please tell me, right? Now the issue is very simple. What are the useless studies? Nobody talks about the role of the government. The donors tell us we must give the government more responsibility. They must do social protection. They must do climate change. They must do everything except give us space to grow. I don't understand this. I really don't understand this. Whenever they discuss the role of government, oh, they'll give us education. They failed to give us education for the last 75 years. They've destroyed education. We had better education. The Brits left us with better education. I'm a product of that. All of us are products of that. But now we have destroyed education, and yet, ye kya ho raha hai yaar? Kyun nahi theek ho raha? Now, unfortunately, we have to do this. Yeah, another thing. Now we've got all these global things, Transparency International, etc., these rankings. Have you ever researched those? We research Transparency International, and what we find is it's a racist ranking. All it says is white races are less corrupt than brown races. And it's a World Bank-funded project. I'm being very, clear here. So let's be fair. Let's talk about these things. Let's think about it. So there's so many evaluations. Do we ever evaluate? Have you researchers ever evaluated a project in Pakistan? Have you ever evaluated an organization? Take, for example, it's amazing. Evacuee property. Evacuee property is the property that left behind when the Indians left, or whatever the people left at partition. 76 years later, we've got evacuee property still alive. We wrote them a letter saying, we want to evaluate you. And the response that we got was hilarious. What is it? The competent authority is pleased to inform you that we have rejected your request. Even the language is that from Lord Macaulay. This is what we are paying more taxes for. They're holding billions of rupees of property. We wrote a similar letter to Awqaf. So why are you guys not researching this? Whose fault is it? It's our fault, right? What about growth and investment? I mean, for example, so we really must think, and where is our conversation? PSD is to create a conversation. Role of government in markets is very important, and we've never discussed it. We just assume, they say build this, we build it. Now, climate finance, we must build climate. Hell, pollution in Lahore has nothing to do with climate. pollution in Lahore is because of our own mistakes, because we want to subsidize the car. We have prepared a traffic plan, a parking fee plan for Islamabad. Nobody wants to look at it. So unfortunately, it's all our fault. So here is the 27th, 37th conference. I won't say much about it. Iftikhar has done it. You've got the agenda for you. All I will say is, folks, remember this. We don't have a policy. We don't have a government. We only go to the IMF. We only collect money, and it is leading to your doom, not mine, your doom. It is up to you to wake up. These are sponsors, etc. It is up to you to wake up and have a good conference. Conference depends on you. I'm used to saying this all the time. My friends here, Ashfaq, Ishrat, Manzoor Saab, we will say all the usual things. It's your questions, your debate that will make it rich. It's your thought that will make it rich. So let's see what Multan is capable of. We are here to test you guys. Can you have a debate with us or not? Thank you very much.